And I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6 Kane Cunningham! Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions! Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Well, at some point, we're going to have to pull that because I don't think Detroiters and Michiganders in general want to hear that about Dylan Larkin any longer. Nothing new necessarily on the front, although many people feel like Florida has made, Elliot Friedman said this just the other day, Florida has put together a package and made a proposal to Steve Eisman and the Red Wings. Welcome, everybody, to a Tullymore Tuesday here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. We're glad you are with us, giving us an opportunity to share some sports knowledge and have a sports discussion with you. The Meyer hotline, as always, 866-838-4843. Our text number, Sports Radio 21000, and you can join us on the chat here as we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Tigers blow out the Astros 9-3. Good way to start this series in Houston. Colt Keith homered 3 times and drove in 6, becoming the youngest Tiger with a 3-homer game since Al Kaline did it in 1955. He was 21. Colt Keith is 24. Kevin McGonigal, Spencer Torkelson, also homer. Game 2 is tonight for Amber Valdez throwing against Hunter Brown. Troy Melton was scratched from the start. This team, I don't use it as an excuse. I know a lot of people do, but I don't use it as an excuse, the injuries. But I would say I don't know if in recent memory we have seen a team go through this much of turmoil with its health. It's not just the pitchers. Gleyber Torres also injured in the second inning. I mean, tweaking his side a little bit. Melton, in the meantime, he had some back tightness. Remember, this is the same kid who missed the first 2 months of the season because of right elbow inflammation. I'm not saying he's injury prone. That's not fair. I don't like that at all. But it's either something's going on in a routine or training or something that has to be investigated a little bit more. Michigan State has lost another leader. I mean, we were talking with Chris Solari yesterday at 8:35. I thought it was a really good interview. He had some really good insight. Shortly thereafter, he attended a press conference where MSU Federal Credit Union became the official patch of Michigan State athletics. Tom Izzo met the media yesterday, and he had that patch on his Spartan vest already. The problem was Jay Batt wasn't at the press conference. That's a huge red flag. That's because he was accepting the job at Kentucky. A little bit more than a year, and he's gone. This is deep. This is troubling. This is huge, and I don't know how you get through it. Because in order for you as a company, and that's what Michigan State basically is, it's an athletic company, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I don't know. We never use that term, but it literally is. It's a company because of everything that it entails. All the people who work for it. Sure, there's turnover, student athletes. But if you look at it as a company, you're trying to make yourself appealing to those who are going to come in and do something for you and make your company better, make your brand better. Michigan State is a brand. Michigan's a brand. Every school is a brand. Just like Coca-Cola, just like General Motors, just like Amazon, okay? You need leadership who can help your brand, expand your brand to where you want it to go. entice people to come to your brand and make it more successful in the first place. You're having a hard time doing that at Michigan State University right now. The people who know the school, the people who love the school, the people who have been associated with the good people who help that school don't have an issue with the brand. They have an issue with certain members who are leading the charge for that brand, i.e. the board of trustees, i.e. specific members of that brand. We'll get to that coming up. 3 weeks after Kevin Guskiewicz was lured to Clemson, although he hasn't signed a contract yet, the Spartan Board of Trustees chase away their athletic director, Jay Batt. And he was introduced at Kentucky on Monday morning, a little more than a year after he arrived in East Lansing. It's unbelievable. I mean, think about it just for a second. You take a new job. You leave Georgia Tech. He's in Atlanta. That's where Georgia Tech is, downtown Atlanta. He comes to East Lansing, steps off the plane. He's got green and white everywhere. Go green, go white. He's got it all over the place, right? His family has it too. Settles in, has to buy a house, right? Okay, Michigan State has to, there's a buyout there at Georgia Tech. I don't know the exact terms of it. I don't know if he's the one who had to take care of his own buyout or Michigan State did. My guess is it's the school. So he's out. He comes to Michigan State. He's got a house. They got to settle in, right? Kids in school, all these different things. This isn't him just showing up, going to the office. Hey, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring in a new football coach. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing, right? It's a life-changing event. And within a year's time, just think back to where you were a year ago in your life and what has taken place over a 1-year span. In a year's time, he's out. That means at some point, 6 months, 7 months in, he and his wife have a deep conversation. Let's order in dinner. We got to talk. Open a bottle of wine. For me, it would be a beer. This ain't going to work. What? What do you mean it's not going to work? The kids are in school. I got this house that I love. I'm having it redone. We need a gardener. We need all these different things, right? I got landscaping scheduled on Tuesday. Doesn't matter. It's not going to work. Why? Leadership. The leadership at this school sucks. Shouldn't you have known that, honey, before you got here? You would think. I just didn't think it was this deep. And I didn't think they were going to get rid of, they were going to chase away the president. I came here because I've got a great working relationship with Kevin Guskiewicz. Didn't you just hire a new head football coach? I did. And he's a good one. But, well, what about Tom Izzo? Tom Izzo isn't my boss, though. I have to deal with these people who are putting up roadblocks on a regular basis. They're making it hard for us. My number one job as an athletic director, honey, and please pass the peas, is that I have to raise money. And I've done a good job with that. It's going to be hard to sustain that with these types of roadblocks in the way. This isn't, oh my God, a little more than a year, he's out. He had to have been thinking about this for a while. Not days, weeks, months, because Kevin Guskiewicz had to think the same thing. There's a reason that members of the Board of Trustees wanted one of them kicked out. There's a reason they went to the governor of the state and said, help us. This is a position that is voted in by people. We want her gone. And the governor, which is no surprise to anybody, sat on her hands and said, no, I'm not going to do it. Speaking of government, a week after winning his NCAA reinstatement battle in court, Brandon Sorsby has reportedly decided to enter the NFL supplemental draft. Would you draft him? Would you want him on your team? We'll get to that a little bit later on as well. We'll talk a little bit about Colt Keith on the other side. And then, of course, the Michigan State saga that seems to have ripple effects on a regular basis, on an almost daily basis. This is X's and Bros on a Tullymore Tuesday. We're back after this.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC Warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC Warehouse locations in Michigan.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Back with you on this Tullamore Tuesday. Thanks for being with us on X's and Bros throughout the state of Michigan. We are streaming live on X, on YouTube, and on Facebook as well. Here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. Andy's already tweeted it out. I've retweeted it as well. Which championship was most unexpected? Indiana in college football, the Knicks NBA title, Carolina's Stanley Cup, or Seattle Super Bowl. Vote as often as you'd like. We'll give you the results of the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow here on X's and Bros. What a night for Colt Keith, huh?
After having almost none a couple days ago.
So 3 home runs, as I mentioned, the youngest Tiger since Al Kaline in 1955. So Colt Keith at age 24. It doesn't mean that everything is fixed. All right. He drove in 6, by the way, in a 9-3 win. Give me a Tiger who's had a 3-homer game in his career, who you may have seen.
Marcus Thames.
Marcus Thames would be an incorrect answer.
Thought so for some reason.
Okay. The guy on the team right now actually
Riley Green?
Did a year ago. Nope. Kerry Carpenter.
That's right. I do remember that game though.
Do you remember Victor Martinez?
I remember Victor Martinez. I don't think I remember the game specifically.
No, but you remember the player.
Yeah.
Okay. How about JD Martinez?
Oh yeah, JD Martinez, yeah.
Okay. How about Miguel Cabrera?
Yep.
Not once, but twice. Dimitri Young. That was on opening day, by the way. Dimitri Young,
okay.
2005. All right. Carlos Pena.
Wow.
Bobby Higgins.
How'd I know that name was going to find its way in there somehow?
How about Cecil Fielder? He did it 3 times. Okay. Do you remember Bill Madlock? Most people remember him from the Pittsburgh Pirates, but he did it as a Tiger. Larry Herndon did it back in 1982. Bill Freehan did it in 1971. Willie Horton did it the year before. You're old enough to know who this guy is, but you never saw him, nor did I. Rocky Colavito, he did it. Steve Boros did it in 1962, which stuns me. Charlie Maxwell, Al Kaline, Pat Mullen, Rudy York, Pinky Higgins. And the first Tiger to ever do it was back in 1925 when Ty Cobb did it. Now, I would say this. Again, it's not that he's fixed. I have said I think Colt Keith's a good hitter. I don't think he will ever hit for power, at least a ton of power. We'll soon find out.
I mean, it's fair to say that. It's been...
What's that?
It's very fair to say that, I think.
Well, but the whole thing is that it's, as I've said to you and anybody who would listen, power is usually the last thing to come.
It is. That's true.
How many... It depends, I suppose, on where he plays, but what's the balance you think you should have in terms of power and average? If a guy's going to hit for high average, how many homers do you expect him to hit? I mean, Colt Keith's not Luis Arraez, but he's not Kyle Schwarber either, right? So if a guy's hitting 280, but he gives you 15 homers, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably thinking like around 20s, like his tops, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 13 twice. In his first 2 years in the major leagues, he's had 13 homers. And each of those 2 years, he's hit 260 and 256. My hope is he's better than a 256, 260
right
hitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My hope is he's closer to a 280 hitter. And my hope is that his on-base percentage is somewhere in the neighborhood of, 34, 35. That's my hope. 35, probably not 34. Right now, he's given you 4 homers. He's given you 16 RBIs, which isn't nearly enough. And the on-base percentage is about 300. So not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, 6 of them came last night and 3 home runs came last night. So
yeah, and so it's a little like when people say Spencer Torkelson and he hit his 12th last night. The feeling is that a guy like that, if you're going to strike out a lot and if you're not driving in a ton of runs, You got to hit homers. You got to have a high slug. You got to have a high OPS, and that isn't good enough either. Okay, so I don't mean to chastise this team even after a victory. It's not necessarily fair, but I'm getting to the point. There's some people you're never going to convince them. I mean, I've said this over and over and over again. It is really, really difficult to change people's minds. Once you've made up your mind about somebody or something, it's locked in there. It's going to take an act of God almost for you to change your mind. So people think that Cole Keith oftentimes was, rewarded too early, and that it was a mistake on the part of Scott Harris, who did it, and that he's never going to live up to it. Okay, that's fine. I mean, even after a 3-homer, 6 RBI game, not that it should change your mind, because one game shouldn't change your mind. But you don't have to necessarily, constantly bring up the point that he's not worth the money he signed for, even though he had a nice game. I suppose that's you digging in your trenches. And these things happen with everybody. And I don't think there's any one person per se who, hasn't done something like this with a certain player or a certain team. I used to do it about the Knicks. I said it earlier this year about the Knicks. I think Detroit's a better team than the Knicks. I went on and on and on. Guess what? Knicks are world champions. So eat crow. That's what I have to do. But when you look at it, people are going to say that about Cole Keith. Here's the other thing that they're going to say. They're going to say it about now. I think now more people are starting to change their mind about AJ Hinch. And part of the reason is not just taking guys out at certain pitch counts, Cater Montero, who was pitching well, not constantly going back to the same guys in what they would consider wrong situations, but also specific pinch hitting situations. And that was Jahmai Jones last night. So in a 9-3 win, I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about the fact that Jahmai Jones came in and pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter. They will conveniently forget that Kerry Carpenter was 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Jahmai Jones comes in, and the problem is Jahmai Jones hasn't had a hit off a left-handed pitcher since May 26th. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. At some point, and this is, I truly believe this. I think this is the situation. I think this is, since Houston's got some lefties, I think this is his last shot.
It's got to be. I mean, it has to.
Well, we've said that for a while, right? Or not we, but some people have said that for a while.
Yeah. You know, you've been around that locker room stuff. You keep hearing people. It feels like I've heard it a couple of times now about how AJ might just be playing him to stick it to Scott Harris. There's no way that's a possibility, right?
That's quite honestly, that's ignorant.
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
I think it's insane.
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this just to piss my boss off.
Right.
When's the last time you did that?
Exactly.
Jack Doles tells you, I want you to go shoot the Meyer Classic. I got an idea. I'm going to go shoot, a putt-putt green, for crying out loud. I mean, you don't do those types of things and then put your career, your jeopardy.
Talking with him on Friday, just don't give that away.
It's just stupidity. I'm going to do this just to show him, and I'm going to piss him off. No, you don't do that. You play the guy when you think you're going to play the guy, or you don't. If you really wanted to piss him off, if that was the situation, then why wouldn't you start him? But my point is this. Jones was 1 for his last 30 going into play last night. We said this yesterday. 2 for his last 40. 1 for his last 30. And a guy who has just 11 hits in his last 90 plate appearances. And last night, he comes in as a pinch hitter, and what does he do? He goes 0 for 2. And perhaps it's not as much about just getting hits. It's how you look when you're doing it. We'll get to that a little bit more, and the Tom Izzo situation and his thoughts on what's transpiring at his school. He's not happy, and he shouldn't be. We're back after this.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
I'll be very honest with you, which I've always been. I can't stand what's going on. And I'm not going to over talk about it now, but I am in the very near future. I've had it. This is self-inflicted. We just lost the best president I may have ever been here. One of the best. And there's other dominoes that get affected when things go wrong like that. I'm very upset about it, and I'm sick of it. And I'll go into why when I decide to say something in the near future.
So Tom Izzo yesterday, Chris Solari, who was from the Free Press, Chris Solari actually asked him the question. And Chris was on our show yesterday at 8:35. If you missed it, it's out on our podcast. You can get our podcast at XB Mornings, anywhere you get the rest of your podcast. We hope you give us a chance and listen a little bit. He's 100% right. And I said this to Chris yesterday, and I say it to a lot of people. I don't care if you're a Michigan fan, an Ohio State fan, or whatever, all right? I don't know of another individual at a school, maybe this is because we're so close to it in the state of Michigan, who is asked to do more for their school than Tom Izzo. Perhaps Nick Saban was down in Alabama when they were luring various coaches or asking donors for certain things or wanting PSAs, public service announcements, anything like that. They turned to Nick Saban. He was as much a national figure as he was a local figure. Tom Izzo was a national figure without question, but I can't think of another person who is has as much weight on his shoulders for one school as Tom Izzo. Think of somebody else. Can you give me an idea?
There isn't.
Maybe Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, okay? Because Duke doesn't have the other program. Well, they don't have some of the other programs that a Michigan State would. It's not like people are flocking to watch Duke bet football.
Right, exactly.
Maybe Duke lacrosse, but that's a kind of a niche sport, even though I love it. Who's back in the day? Maybe it was John Wooden. All right, probably asked to do quite a bit, and you win that many championships, it's going to happen. Bill Self at Kansas, maybe. Again, they don't have that football tradition that Michigan State has. Either way, he's amongst those you've ever seen carrying the weight of that school. If that school needs a new athletic director, Tom Izzo's at the table helping conduct the interview. If they're looking for a new president, Tom Izzo is part of that search oftentimes. If they're asking for a new coach, hey, we're going to interview Pat Fitzgerald. He's going to come in and be the head coach of football, or we're thinking about that. We want your 2 cents on what you think of him fitting in here.
He does all this, and he's still, he's still trying to win that other national championship in basketball. So
sure,
on top of it,
he's trying to balance.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling sorry for him. I am not sitting here crying poor for Tom Izzo, but think of the things that he's had to go through. He recently lost his mother. Okay, he's trying to be a father. He's trying to be a husband. He is trying to be the consummate pro for his school. He's trying to recruit. He's trying to develop new plays. He's trying to stay with the times in his sport. There's all kinds of things that he's trying to balance. We all have balances in life. Andy's got to balance a couple of jobs. I got to balance a couple of jobs. I'm not feeling sorry for him. I'm just telling you, that school relies on him so much. They lean on him so much. So when the media goes to somebody to talk about this issue, Tom Izzo's an obvious voice people want to hear from. How many other coaches are being asked about their school's president or their school's or his own boss, his or her own boss? Okay. With all due respect, they're not going to a lot of the other coaches. Probably be pretty hard talking to Pat Fitzgerald. We do have some sound on that we're going to play in a little bit. Pat Fitzgerald talking about it. He's just got to hunker down, and he's got to say, you know what? I'm just going to go about my business, right? Izzo, that's not the way it is with Tom Izzo. He himself is a decision maker. You know what everybody wants in East Lansing. They want him to be the athletic director. He can be the athletic director and the head coach in basketball. No, you can't.
Right. That's what people would want, though. They think
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. This is not Bill Parcells, okay, with the New York Jets. I want to be the GM and the head coach. It's not how it works. You cannot do that. It's really, really difficult. This is Pat Fitzgerald. You heard what Tom Izzo had to say. First, let me put that was half of what Tom Izzo had to say. Let's play the other half of what Izzo said. He's tired of this. He's tired of the drama. He's tired of the soap opera. He's tired of the incompetence that Michigan State's Board of Trustees has put on display on a regular basis. And it's been a long time. He's sick and tired of it, that they're chasing away talented people to lead the school in what he would consider the right direction. On top of that, this is what else he had to say. Go ahead.
And that's all 600,000. It ain't Tom Izzo. I'm not an alum. I'm like a Greg Williams or like maybe you're a football coach. I'm a very invested stakeholder. I'm a very invested stakeholder. But the alums better stand up. That's what I'm saying, son. I'm going to ask the alums to stand up because what happened with our president is ridiculous.
Can I ask this? This is probably way too simplified. Why does it take Tom Izzo to plead for Michigan State alums to stand up?
Exactly what I was thinking the whole time. Yeah.
You thought the same thing?
Yeah. I was like, why does he have to ask for that right now? Maybe he doesn't for some of them. I don't want to say like nobody's, outraged by this because I think plenty of Michigan State people are upset about this right now.
But what do they do about it?
Exactly.
No, honestly, what is it you're doing about it as an alum? And let's be honest here. My daughter's now an alum. What can she do about it? Not much. Matt Ishbia could do something about it. Steve St. Andre can do something about it. Magic Johnson can do something about it.
And that's what he's trying to say.
That's exactly what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, sure, 600,000 alum, fine. But what he really wants is the big-time donors who keep that school afloat with their names on buildings and their paychecks toward programs. You need to do something about it. It'd be great to have a grassroots program where people go door to door and ask for a signature to have a certain member of the Board of Trustees removed. You can't do that. The governor has to do that. You have to vote that. And she's on board until 2029. Think about that. 3 more years of this stuff. 3 more years. And this is what you have to deal with. And here's the ancillary part of this. And it really is something that every issue within a company, a program, whatever, has to deal with. It's the constant using this against you. If you want to use it strictly in sports, you're going in and I'm trying to recruit Andy McDonald for football. And another football coach comes in and says, so am I. What is the other football coach saying about Andy McDonald or to Andy McDonald about the Michigan State program? No leadership, infighting, don't know where they're going. You don't know how long that coach may be there. They lost an athletic director after a year. They lost a school president after a year. They've had 5 ADs in the last 8 years. There's no leadership there. There's no certainty there. You don't want to go there. Come with us. We have stabilization. Am I wrong? Tell me when I'm wrong here. They're going to use it against you. It makes it more challenging. Probably not as much for Izzo because his reputation is what it is. But think of how hard that may be on a guy like Pat Fitzgerald, who's just brand new. If I'm a coach and I want the same recruit as Pat Fitzgerald, one of the many things you may be saying, besides building up your own program, which is what I hope people would be doing, one of the many things you might be saying is you hope to be at that school for 4 years. That's the ideal situation for you. You would like to be a starter or at least a contributor as your freshman year, and then a starter as a sophomore and a 3-year starter and win big games. Do you know your coach is going to be there, considering your athletic director just left after a year? The previous athletic director wasn't there very long either. And there's no stabilizing force at Michigan State other than upheaval. How do you know that guy's going to be there? He's recruiting you, but do you know he's going to be? Those are some of the things that are going to be said to a lot of recruits. There is, Tom Izzo mentioned it yesterday, there is a trickle-down effect. What's the trickle-down effect? That's the trickle-down effect. Here's what Pat Fitzgerald, who was hired by J-Bat, and now J-Bat leaves for Kentucky. Here's what Pat Fitzgerald had to say about this mess of a situation at his school.
Everything that I was talked to about in the process of coming here is all lined and ready to go. And yeah, I'll have a couple of new leaders, but not my first time going through this. And I know what my role is. I'm ready to do my part to get Spartan football back where it belongs.
So you're not disillusioned that the two people that hired you are now gone?
No, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be all in. And, I talked to Tom, right away last week. And, like I told him, I'm in a foxhole here. I'm ready to go and can't wait to get the season started.
So those are the right answers, right? It's a good question. Good follow-up question from Fred Human. Yeah.
I like Pat Fitzgerald, man.
I do too.
The way he answered
I like him a lot. That doesn't matter, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you and I like him. It doesn't matter that you and I may think he's the right guy for the job. It doesn't matter that Michigan State, I think, got the right person in that position. Who cares what you and I think? Whether we like it or not, unless you are long-term established of men I've already mentioned, it could be John Shire at Duke, Bill Self at Kansas, all right, Kelvin Sampson at Houston, Tom Izzo at Michigan State. No new athletic director is going to do anything to those guys. No guy's coming in and going, tell you what, my first order of business is I'm going to get rid of a Hall of Fame coach. Okay, nobody does that. Maybe Bo Schembechler as president of the Tigers getting rid of Ernie Harwell. But that turned out to be professional suicide. So that was ridiculous. Not many players or administrators, or athletic directors come in and make that rash of a move. Okay. They may do it a first-year guy, a second-year guy who hasn't proven himself, new leadership. I didn't hire that guy. It's not the guy I would have hired. I've got my own guy on a list in my drawer who I have targeted for a long time. I've told myself that if I ever got a big league, and Big Ten is, a big league athletic director job, I'm going to hire this guy. They have their mind made up. They're going to do that. We see it all the time. We see it at the professional level. We see it at the collegiate level. Think about it. Bob Quinn got rid of Jim Caldwell, led a team to the playoffs, and he brought in his guy. Jim Caldwell was established in the NFL, but not necessarily within the Lions. Didn't make it impossible for Bob Quinn to fire him. Though that is part of what the trickle-down effect is. Pat Fitzgerald said all the right things. He's dead on, but you also notice I talked to Tom last week. In other words, he's talking to Tom Izzo, and they're trying to convince one another that everything's going to be all right, that they're in this together. I don't think Pat Fitzgerald, has to worry about it. But let's face it, if the first 2 years don't go the way he plans, and you've got a new athletic director in there who didn't bring him in, there will be whispers. There will be considerations. There will be rumors. And that puts, obviously, more pressure on him. And then suddenly, an additional trickle-down effect is, what about the players? What are the players hearing? Suddenly, I might jump into the portal because we know what a mess the NCAA is. I don't like it. It's the ugly part of the business. Pat Fitzgerald's used to it. He understands it. As he just said in that bite, this isn't the first time. I've had to go through this before with other athletic directors. The difference there was he was an established brand at Northwestern. He was Northwestern's identity. With all due respect to their women's lacrosse program, which is very good, it is not paying bills. At Northwestern, it was Pat Fitzgerald, and that happens when you're a former two-time All-American and you're a former Butkus Award winner and you're, a proud alum who has led your team to places their football team had never gone before. That is the issue that Michigan State is dealing with. Now, how certain people got in to their positions, voted on, what they said to people that would make them, check that box, I don't know. All right. Could anybody have seen this coming? I don't know. Could anybody have looked at this and said, I wish I'd have done things differently? I would have hoped so. By now, I sure as hell would have hoped that they would have been able to do that. Because if you look at two guys, Kevin Guskowitz out the door to Clemson, Jay Batt finalizing the deal to leave for Kentucky, and you've got and I don't know all these people. I've read about Rima Vassar for a long time and how she has just made it an embarrassing situation. These people on the board of trustees do not get paid. Wink, wink. They are voted on. You're supposed to do this for, I guess in a Pollyannish world, the love of your school. I'd love to know where some of the national voices are who are Michigan State grads. The ones who are constantly talking about different things outside really their realm and should be saying, you know what? We've got something has to be done about this. You want to put pressure on somebody. Don't put it on Pat Fitzgerald or Tom Izzo. Put it on Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She's a Michigan State alum. She's the one who has the power to do something about it before 2029. It's been a lot of embarrassing moments for both big universities in this state, if you think about it. But being that Michigan State's in the news right now, whether it be the Larry Nassar situation, although he was at both schools, I might add, Mel Tucker, and now this fiasco. Some more serious than others. How do you recover from something like this with a governing body that's going to keep the person who has caused the most upheaval for at least another 3 years? That's why Tom Izzo's pleading. 600,000 strong alum, do something about it. Because for the first time maybe in his career, he can't. It's a Tullymore Tuesday. We're brought to you this hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth. We're glad you're with us. We're back after this.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, the season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, PLAN, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
following it all. I don't know how people watch games anymore. I watch them a lot of times the old-fashioned way, but Andy and I are constantly working on the show while we're watching games. I know that. So obviously social media is part of it. Do you remember the part last night, Andy, where AJ Hinch pulled Drew Anderson?
Yeah. Yep. In the third, right?
Because he had gone 2 2/3, so there were 2 outs in the third. He was pretty effective, don't you think? Gave up a couple of walks. He up the
he was for sure.
But, I mean, he had 5 strikeouts. He'd only thrown 59 pitches. I don't know what the pitch count is for him. All right, I don't know what the AJ's got a certain plan, but he goes to the bullpen and then boom, boom, back-to-back homers. Paredes and Altuve, back-to-back bombs. Suddenly a 5-0 lead goes to 5-3. And this is where the moves that certain coaches and or managers make are magnified. When your team struggles, the Tigers were a 9-3 winner last night in case you missed it. 12 games under 500. When your team struggles, though, everything is going to get dissected. So I'd mentioned Jahmai Jones earlier. He's a pretty convenient guy that people like to kick and kick down. He's brought it on himself. I mean, he went 0 for 3 last night with 2 strikeouts. I said earlier, I think he went 0 for 2. I meant he had 2 strikeouts. He was 0 for 3. They had him pinch hitting for Kerry Carpenter. It's a righty-lefty matchup. That's the reason they're going to do it. I don't like that stuff personally. I know what Kerry Carpenter's numbers are against lefties. They're not great in his career, but people view him as a hitting threat where they view Jahmai Jones as anything but. And he's never been anything but. I mean, last year, I guess, comes in to a pinch hitting situation, had 7 bombs last year, hit 287. On base percentage, respectable, more than respectable, and slugging, more than respectable. So you oftentimes in baseball, because it's every day, this is the hard thing about it for any manager. Because it's every day, people are judging that player on every day. We talked about Cole Keith earlier in the program. He had 3 homers last night. So he quadrupled the number of home runs he had on the year. All right. So he's got 4 homers on the year. Big deal, right? If I said to you, he's got 4 homers on the season, Kevin McGonical's got 5. Does that matter to you at all? Hell no. It doesn't matter to you because of what McGonical is doing in other ways. He's hitting 282, and he's got an on-base percentage of close to 400, and he's got a slug at 420. Whereas Cole Keith, and you would like it between 35, 38 as an on-base percentage, is at 31, and his slug is nowhere near it. It's at 390, okay? In the starting lineup last night, Cole Keith had outside of Zach McKinstry, the weakest slug. So people are going to immediately, how much longer are you going to go with this guy because he's not hitting homers? And they're doing the same thing with Jahmai Jones. And then the pulling of what was an emergency starter in Drew Anderson. Not taking into account that Drew Anderson was on a it was a surprise probably to everybody that he was going to start because Troy Melton was a late scratch because of the back problem. Okay? But that's what's going to happen. Forget about the fact that Kerry Carpenter's last hit against the lefty was June 13th, just last week, or over the weekend, right? Because today's the 16th. And Jahmai Jones's was late May, and Jahmai Jones, on the season, has just 11 hits overall, for crying out loud. In 93 at-bats. This is going to be it for him. I'm convinced of that. Speaking of baseball, the first wave of MLB All-Star voting is in. Are there any Tigers in contention that you can think of? And who should be?
There should be one, and he's not far enough up the list. I can that much from what I saw.
Well, educate us on that, because there are three. I think there are 3 All-Stars on the Tigers right now.
Dylan Dingler is one that should definitely be an All-Star, in my opinion.
For sure.
Almost no question about it.
Yep.
And I believe he was 4th on the voting, right?
Well, do you have a problem with Shea Langoliers? He's got 18 homers, and he's got an on-base plus
stuff.
slug at close to 900. What's that?
That's good stuff. No argument there.
Yeah, it's fair. No one ever is going to think of Spencer Torkelson. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leads the way in the American League for first baseman. Ernie Clement of the Blue Jays leads second base. Do you remember Ernie Clement with the Cleveland Guardians? I almost said the other word. Do you remember him at all?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He was just a role player. He's batting 304.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. He's batting 304 for Toronto. So he's having a really good year. Junior Caminero for the Rays at third base.
Sure.
Bobby Witt Jr. at shortstop for the Royals. He's probably, outside of a Tiger, I would say Bobby Witt Jr. is my favorite player. I think he's awesome. Probably not having the year that he expected, hitting 284, 9 homers, strong on-base percentage, decent, I should say. It's like 360. Slug is up. He's a 4-WAR player, so he's deserving. But you thought he might be one of those guys who is like commanding the game on an every night basis, and it's just so hard to do in baseball. Where do you put Kevin McGonigal then? Because I think Kevin McGonigal has played like an all-star.
It feels like it.
Come on, folks. I mean, even if I don't care that he's a rookie, I don't. It shouldn't matter. What have you done? And he's been pretty damn good. All right. Now, is he as good as a guy like Bobby Witt Jr.? Is he as good as a Junior Caminero? Like, where would you put him? Caminero is hitting right around the same as McGonigal, but he's got 15 bombs, man. He's driven in 32 runs. Where would you? And we got a long way to go before the All-Star game. Well, actually, not a long way, but we've got ways to go. The first indication, as much as you and I think he's an All-Star, where do you put him? He's not taking Bobby Witt's spot. Junior Caminero deserves to be where he's at. And Ernie Clement, I mean, if you're a Blue Jays fan, aren't you saying to us Tiger fans, wait a minute, my guy's hitting 304? Your guy's a rookie, right? Okay. So where do you go with it? And then you have the outfield. Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Cody Bellinger. What do you do about that? Because I think Riley Green's. I think Riley Green is an all-star as well.
Yeah, he's 5th in that voting.
And where's McGonigal?
I think he was 3rd, I believe.
3rd.
Yep. Yeah, he's 3rd. Yep. And shortstop.
Every team's going to be represented. It's not going to be a pitcher this time. It's not going to be Tarek Skubal this time. It's going to be a position player, just because Skubal's been hurt. I suppose it still could be Skubal, but Dingler for sure. If you had to rank them, Dingler and Green and McGonigal, who deserves to be the All-Star first and foremost? If you could only take one, it's Dylan Dingler.
That's what I would think, just because of the position he's at. I think he's the best one. Yeah. Or he's right there, at least.
For sure. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. The first wave of that, Yordan Alvarez is leading the way for sure. ESPN came out with some rankings in basketball and hockey. At the bottom of the hour, Tom DeHeath is going to join us. 50th anniversary of his Gold Cup win on Miss US. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. But when we return, ESPN has ranked basketball and hockey from this year and going into next. We'll give you where the Pistons and Red Wings lie when we come back here on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Tuesday, brought to you by Meyer.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and BrO's and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLyonsWealth.com for more info.
Ferris Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
back with you here on X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, throughout the great state of Michigan. Also streaming live on YouTube and on X and on Facebook. Andy McDonald alongside. I'm Matt Shepard. Let me get to a couple of texts from our good friend Freddie. I apologize. I missed yesterday's hero and heel. His hero was World Cup fans. His heel was New York. Disgusting. Oh, that was after the celebrations, burning buses and smashing police cars. It's a great way to celebrate. I've always enjoyed. I know when my team wins, the first thing I want to do is start to wreck something. That's always a good thing. Anyway, today, Shep, it's okay to chastise after a win. Andy Dirks basically mocked the fans after Colt's third home run. Sounds like he listens to more sports radio than the fans do. I did not hear that. That's an interpretation, but I trust your judgment. I didn't hear that. If the Tigers do anything right after last night, they wake up this morning and say, okay, Colt Keith must play every day, every at-bat at one position. I don't think that's going to happen. And I'll tell you the reason why. I don't think they know what position he's good at. One of my concerns about 6 years ago, and I said this publicly, was that they have a lot of guys who appear to be good hitters but not good fielders, which you and I shouldn't say me, but which a lot of people feel like that's okay. As long as you can hit, they're going to find a place for you if you can hit. True that. But if you got a bunch of DHs in your lineup, you're going to suffer defensively and pitching wise. It doesn't take a rocket science. You don't have to be, you don't have to be in baseball, Joe Torre, for almost your entire life to figure that out. No one's asking Connie Mack, hey, do you need good guys who can play good defense? Everybody would agree you need some good defense. Don't give me this defense wins championships and then say all I care about is hitting. I don't think that's fair. What is Colt Keith's best position, Andy? What do you think it is? Go ahead.
It's probably second base, I guess. Maybe it was his best. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
That's the issue, isn't it?
It is the issue. There's not really a position there. Yeah.
So here's what you have. And I've said this for a while. Nothing against these guys personally. Kerry Carpenter, not a great right fielder, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Colt Keith, not a great fielder. Spencer Torkelson, not a great fielder. Javier Baez, you won't have to worry about much longer. Gleyber Torres, you're not going to have to worry about much longer. So basically what we're saying here is you need a third baseman. Do you have one in the system that you feel really good about? Maybe it's Kevin McGonigal. If it is, I'd be playing him there every day. At least with Javier Baez, if he comes back, you could say he's going to be your shortstop. You can't say that about a third baseman. So why in the world would you not have him playing third base? The only thing I think of is that they just don't feel like he's a third baseman. Okay. Is he a shortstop? Because if he's a shortstop, I'd play him at short every day. Seriously. I mean, that's what I'd be doing every single day. Have him get used. That's your position, dude. You're a good enough hitter. You're going to be in the lineup every day, play. Same thing with Colt Keith. What's the position? And if they don't know, boy, that's quite an indictment on their entire player development program, isn't it? Connect the dots. If you have a Matt Vierling, who's been around a little bit, and you got him playing in different positions, right field, center field. I don't think he's played third base this year, has he? I don't remember that. Third base, whatever. He has that capability. I get it because he's coming off your bench and he's not your everyday guy. Fine. I like guys like that. Zach McKinstry. He's going to play short for you. He's going to play second. He's going to play right field. He can play some third for you. I like that too because he's not an everyday guy. I want a couple of guys like that off my bench. What about the guys you view as the quote-unquote core of your team? And forgive me if I'm reaching here, but when you sign a young player, Colt Keith, to a long-term contract, you envision him being part of your core. Is that a leap of faith on my part? If that's the case, and you agree with me in that realm, how about giving him a position?
Yeah,
where he gets an opportunity to get better.
That makes
because
a lot of sense.
as Freddie points out, if they don't, then they are not developing everyday players and they just want platoon team to show us on a regular basis. Yeah.
I mean, that's where you start to be like, who even is the core? Because it seems that they all just kind of group everybody together. They're like, Zach McKinstry to them, remember he was an all-star last year. So we should remember that he was an all-star. That's what we were told coming into the season.
That's what we're told. Well, we were also told that, Drew Anderson was going to be so great. And then he struggles. And then when he does pitch really well last night, they pull him after 2 2/3.
Right.
Yeah. But if you're thinking, if they're talking about long-term, because this is what they've always told us. They've told us we're going to add when the timing is right. If that timing is getting closer to us, shouldn't you be developing guys at certain positions so when the timing is right, you've got an even better team to put out on the field on a regular basis? You don't know what Max Anderson is going to be like. You don't. You may like what he's doing in the minor leagues. You may like what Bryce Rayner's doing in the minor leagues. They're not going to be, Rayner won't be here next year. He's not going to be in Detroit next year. So knowing that and knowing that Baez's contract is up, and if you think McGonigal's your future shortstop, then put him at shortstop every day. If you don't think he is, and he's a third baseman, put him at third base every day. If you don't think he's a third baseman and you think he's a second baseman, then put him at second base because Gleyber Torres is hurt again. You want his bat in the lineup, you want to find a place for him, put him in a place that he's going to be for the rest of his career. I don't think that's too difficult to figure out. I don't think Cole Keith is a third baseman. I think Andy's right. I think if you're going to give him a position, if it's going to be a position at all, then maybe it's second base. Maybe they view him as a first baseman. And if you don't feel like you can do that yet with Spencer Torkelson and you're looking at moves to do that, then at least get him in the rotation at first base a little bit more. You know what I mean? I think it's convoluted thinking. Unless they indeed only want to build versatile players. I'm not going to say platoon, all right? Versatile players. Because platoon means that you're moving a guy in and out for somebody else. When I think Cole Keith, for the most part, has been an everyday guy. Is that fair to say? Do you think Cole Keith has been treated like an everyday player?
Yeah.
So far this year?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would too. And he's played in 65 games. So, how many games has Detroit played? They're 12 games under 500.
They're 30 and 42, so 62 games. Or 62, sorry. What is that? 72 games?
Yeah, 72 games.
Yep.
So he's taken off his feet 7 times. No big deal. I get that. 65 games, you're gonna if you're looking at a guy like Kevin McGonigal, he's an everyday guy, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. Okay.
No
well,
question about it.
He's played in 68 games. So I think it's fair to say Cole Keith is an everyday guy. And I think they view him as such. Got to find a position for him. It's the 50th anniversary. This is kind of an interesting story. It's the 50th anniversary of a Gold Cup winner. I used to cover the Gold Cups on a regular basis in a past radio life down on the Detroit River. And it was pretty awesome. The hydroplane races, it was one of the many things that we here in Detroit were very proud of. It was a tradition here. It was here in Seattle. Today is the 50th, or this year is the 50th anniversary of Tom DeHeath's Gold Cup win on Miss US. He's going to join us. He's also into the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame that'll be honored on Thursday night, all right, in Troy, Michigan. So we'll talk with Tom DeHeath when we come back. Thursday, Brian Balago will join us, the former Packers offensive lineman. He, too, will be inducted into the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame on Thursday night as well. So that's coming up here on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Tuesday. And we're brought to you this hour by Meyer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
event taking place on Thursday night in Troy. I don't know how many people recognize that there's a Polish-American National Sports Hall of Fame. And we're lucky to have it in our area, in Troy, Michigan. It's fantastic. Some of the best names in sports history have Polish descent. And I've been fortunate to be part of it the last couple of years. Tom DeHeath is in it as a member, as a Gold Cup champion, more over than just once. 50th anniversary of his 1976 APBA Gold Cup championship that was won on the Detroit River and on June 27th, 1976, piloting Miss USA, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. Tom, how are you today?
I'm pretty good this morning.
Yeah, good. Hey, so it's the 50th anniversary. When you reflect back, and I'm sure you do this quite often, but when you reflect back 50 years, where does your mind go?
Well, it goes to opportunity, and opportunity meaning that powerboat racing used to be, really big in the Detroit area.
Mm-hmm.
And when George Simon, who owned the Miss US and US Equipment Company, gave me the call, I was only 28 years old. And so, and all the owners of the big boats, the Unlimiteds, had started to fade away. So reflecting back, it was a great opportunity for me, but also a marriage that brought George Simon a Gold Cup when he had been trying for 20 plus years to win the Gold Cup, and to do it in Detroit, right in front of his corporate audience and his corporate friends. It was huge, and my father was there too.
And to do it against a legendary driver in Bill Munsey.
Absolutely.
Was even more impactful, don't you think?
Right. Without Bill Munsey, looking back again, the victory was hard fought, both by Bill and myself. And, he was the legendary driver from Detroit too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he migrated to Seattle, and he was driving his Atlas Van Lines, which was sponsored by O.H. Frisbee from Detroit. So, but he was certainly a legendary. It meant a lot to me personally to be able to duel with the legend like Bill Munsey, the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. And to be able to win on that particular day was very satisfying.
You mentioned your father, Al. He was a Gold Cup hydroplane racer as well.
He was, he was kind of a pioneering type. He actually raced in the Gold Cup in a 135 cubic inch hydroplane right after the war. And but he never had much success. He never really got in a great boat,
How much of that was an influence on you as a kid?
Oh, tremendous influence. I've got pictures here in my house. Believe it or not, I was in diapers in my dad's 135 cubic inch hydroplane, holding onto the steering wheel, standing up. I've got a couple of pictures. I just discovered them in my mother's stuff just a couple of summers ago. So I said, "Who is that?" It was me. So I have an older brother, Roger, so I had to try and figure out whether it was him or me.
The exact date, the 50th anniversary of Tom DeHeath's Gold Cup championship in Detroit, 50 years, starting on June 27th of 1976 is when he won it. And he's
correct.
Us here
and
on X's and Bros.
Yeah, because of the way the dates fall this year. That was Sunday, June 27th, and of course this year it's June the 28th, 50 years later. But we're going to be gathering at the site of the Dodge pit where the Miss US was parked by the crane for the race week, and also then afterwards at 12:30 we're going to head over to the famous Sinbad's restaurant, and that was an area where a lot of the unlimited drivers used to go all the time.
I covered the Gold Cup for years on the Detroit River. Oftentimes it was either Seattle or Detroit that held this fantastic event. And it was a spectacle. People at the Rooster Tail, it was a big deal. What has happened?
Very big deal.
What has happened to the sport since?
Boy, that's a good question. But I know what, in my mind, what's happened is they lost the high point package from HFC. They lost the television contracts. They lost the radio contracts. You can't get corporate America, the Fortune 500 companies, to be involved with those race boats unless they're on TV. I guess today it's streaming, but hardly anybody my age knows even how to do streaming, So management, I'll have to break it down to management. The regatta, Spirit of Detroit Regatta went bankrupt in 2003. I was the category chairman for Vintage and Historic. And I was on my way to a museum dedication in Owensboro, Kentucky, with Darrell Waltrip, because he lives there, and myself. We were dedicating the museum. Speedseum is what it was called in Owensboro. And I got calls from both commodores of the Detroit Yacht Club and the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club and Jim Shivel, president of Chrysler Jeep, to come back to Detroit to, on a wing and a prayer to try and save the Gold Cup race that wasn't going to happen in 2003. My late wife and I, long story short, we did that. And in 6 weeks, we formed Detroit River Regatta Association and acquired the assets of Spirit of Detroit, the bankrupt organization, and successfully put on the Gold Cup races in Detroit 2003, 4, and 5. So I'm kind of more proud of that than anything I ever did behind the steering wheel.
Wow, that's interesting. How do you can sports? I'm not just talking about Gold Cup races. Can sports be revived? Do you think in today's day and age when our attention spans are so limited?
I think so. Right now, the turbines were kind of unique. That's what's in all the Unlimiteds today are turbine engines. That doesn't relate to anything. And they need to go back to Gold Cup Dita Gift, which was 625 cubic inches. Remember, the Gold Cup's older than the Indy 500.
Yeah.
The first Gold Cup was competed for in 1904 and the Indy 500 1911. So it's the oldest motorsports trophy in the world. And what I think should happen is they ought to revert back to Dita Gift from the New York Yacht Club, Gold Cup rules, 625 cubic inches. Now you can sell your product, you've got gasoline, fuel companies, oil companies, spark plug companies, gasket companies, all the companies that are related to internal combustion reciprocating engines. You can't really sell a thing with a turbine engine. They don't even want, Lycoming doesn't even want anything to do with unlimited hydroplanes with a turbine engine, a Lycoming T55 L7. Granted, they're exotic. They sound kind of cool, but they don't have the thunder like the Thunderbolts used to have.
Well, and that's all fine because that's your space, but you're literally talking Chinese to most people when it comes to something like that because it's a different language, right? You mentioned, you mentioned that you've got to get corporate dollars behind it, and that means you got to have it streaming or on TV. So, in other words, you have to reach people. And it's funny because I think we're in a world now where we want to see speed. We love speed in general. That's how you get it back. How do you reach a younger generation that is making oftentimes the advertising decisions on getting your sport to resonate with them when there's so much history behind your sport?
To be honest with you, I'm 82 years old or young, however you want to look at it, but I've seen everything come and go. I think it's already here. What the wealthy people of America are doing now are shootouts, catamarans, 46 feet long. They run actually faster than unlimited hydroplanes. And you're seeing poker run boats. I mean, we're talking $1.5 million anywhere. Even the least expensive ones are in the 800,000, but the owners are able to drive these boats on poker runs and in shootouts. And so the money is there. It just has to be channeled into an event on the Detroit River, and the powerboats will be back on the Detroit River. You have to include everybody in the city of Detroit too as a promoter. When I did the Gold Cup races, I gave a portion of the profits to Gleaners, Mother Waddles, new kids on the course, which were all the inner city school kids. I brought them down, gave them a free lunch and autograph sessions and a meet and greet. So that's the type of exposure that needs to happen to get the big boats and the Formula One boats back to the Detroit area.
When I covered it, Dave Villwalk was a big name. He's one of the best drivers, I believe, of all time.
I never raced against Dave. He was after me.
Yeah, he was after you, and he actually won it, I believe, last year in the Tri-Cities in Washington.
He did win the Gold Cup last year in Tri-Cities. I was there, and they allowed me the privilege. I'm the oldest surviving Gold Cup winner, by the way, and they allowed me the privilege of presenting the Gold Cup to Dave Villwalk, which was quite an honor. And
correct me if I'm wrong here, but you won it 3 times. Dave Villwalk last year was his 11th. You won it 3 times. We always hear this from athletes, or we always ask athletes, what's more difficult, winning the first or winning it a second time? And in your case, you won it back to back. So what was more difficult, winning it for the first time in 1976, then fighting your way back in 1989, winning it again, and then winning it back to back years? What was the most challenging season for you to get to, victory?
Actually, winning it the first time was the most challenging. We had, a lot of boats at the events in the teens, between 14 and 18 boats would show up. We had 14 regattas on the circuit. We were all powered with Rolls-Royce Merlins and Allison engines, no turbines yet. So winning it the first time, and then I have a record that'll probably never be broken, and the record is 13 years between my first Gold Cup victory and my second one. So, and then I did back to back. Of course, I called it the Golden Ride, the Miss Budweiser. If you ever got the opportunity, which I did late in my career, to drive the Golden Ride, you better win with that thing, because Bernie Little provided you with all the tools and the equipment to be the best. And he didn't send you out there for a weather report. He wanted results.
What made Detroit so special? Because obviously this has been, they raced it in New York and in Washington. There was a year in Vegas, San Diego, Indiana. Detroit had it for a long period of time. And then Madison, Indiana had it 3 straight years before they kind of moved all over in Alabama, Washington, California, back to Washington a year ago. What made the Detroit River special?
What made it special was they had been racing on the Detroit River since 1916, continuously, except for the war years. And famous drivers like Garwood, Guy Lombardo. Of course, the Shaneth family was legendary in the Detroit area. George Simon himself drove early Miss US's, but we had a lot of championship drivers, Donnie Wilson, Freddie Alder, Bill Muncie, of course. They were all from the Detroit area, and there was a lot of opportunity to drive Detroit boats back then. And of course, up until 2019, I guess, was the last year that the big boats raced on the Detroit River. That's what made it famous. I called it Detroit's International Water Speedway. Between the Belle Isle Bridge and the Detroit Yacht Club and the Rooster Tail. That's what made Detroit famous. The course was challenging, had the tightest turn at the Rooster Tail end on the whole circuit, and it had the largest turn on the whole circuit at the Belle Isle Bridge end. Rough water on the main side of the straightaway, on the Detroit side, and the smoothest water going up the backstretch by the Belle Isle Bathing Beach. So very challenging water conditions. Unfortunately, there were a lot of lives that were lost on the Detroit River. And so that made it treacherous and legendary.
Lastly, and we're talking with Tom DeHeath, he's the celebrating the 50th year of his first Gold Cup raceboat championship on the Detroit River, and a member of the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame. The event takes place on Thursday. What do you love most about the event that we'll be seeing you at on Thursday night?
You mean the reunion you're talking about?
I'm talking about Thursday night. Aren't you going to be at the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah,
ceremony?
yeah. This week, there's a lot of things going on. I'm doing a speaking engagement at the Algonac Historical Society. Thursday night is the National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame banquet,
right.
And the Gronk is going to be there. I've been told, the Gronkowski. That'll be
Rob
pretty
Gronkowski's going in, Brian Balaga, David Legwan going in, and Dave Myers is going in. That's the class.
Right. So that'll be very special. And of course, my little celebration coming up on the 28th at the Sinbad's restaurant. But let me interject just one other thing. This just happened this year, and it's noteworthy because he's the only one that's ever done this. In over 100 years, there's one person that has won the APBA Gold Cup on the Detroit River, and he also won the Indianapolis 500. He was a Detroiter. His father owned the BrO's Corporation. His name was Joe Boyer, and he drove for Colonel Jesse Vincent, and Packard Chris Craft was the name of the boat. He won the Gold Cup on the Detroit River in 1923, and he won the Indianapolis 500 in 1924. Joe Boyer, a forgotten racing legendary hero from the Detroit area. And I had the privilege of being the presenter to induct him in the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in Daytona this last March.
Wow. Well, what an honor for you, no question. Quite an honor for us to reflect back on the 50th anniversary of your first Gold Cup racing win in Detroit. We wish you great success. We'll see you Thursday night. Thanks for the time today, Tom. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you very much, and glad I was able to participate in your podcast.
Yeah, you bet. That's Tom DeEath. He's the American Detroiter who won the Gold Cup 50 years ago, won it 3 times overall. It used to be, obviously they don't have it in Detroit because it's bounced around a little bit. It used to be one of the prideful things we had in the city. So you got the Detroit Grand Prix right now, and of course you got the 4 major teams, and you got the big colleges, and you got other mid-majors around the area. It was another way that we were able to celebrate, what a great sports city this truly is, a sports state, to be honest with you. I don't know what exactly happened. It used to be broadcast live on a local radio station, a CBS-owned radio station. Obviously not the case any longer. But boy, you had the diehards, and they would be out there on a regular basis on the docks. It was pretty fun, actually. All right, when we come back, the Pistons and the Red Wings, now that their seasons are over, ESPN has come out with what we can look forward to next year, if anything, for either one of those teams. We'll give you an idea of what we're talking about when we come back on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Tuesday, brought to you by Meyer.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor. Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event, presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise, will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com. That's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and BrO's and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLionsWealth.com for more info.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
be very honest with you, which I've always been. I can't stand what's going on. And I'm not going to over talk about it now, but I am in the very near future. I've had it. This is self-inflicted. We just lost the best president I may have ever been here. One of the best. And there's other dominoes that get affected when things go wrong like that. I'm very upset about it, and I'm sick of it. And I'll go into why when I decide to say something in the near future.
It's good for Tom Izzo. Seriously. You know what it is? That's an emotional response, and I give him credit because he wants to curtail his emotions right now. He wants to do everything he can. He wants to take a deep breath, think about it for a moment, and when he's ready to talk about it, he will, and I'm sure that'll be sometime soon. There is a 3-word phrase that is oftentimes used in sports when things are going wrong for an organization, a team, whatever. It's called "let's clean house." And that's what Michigan State needs to do. They got to clean house. Now, how do they do that? Well, they do that with the Board of Trustees first and foremost. And what's unfortunate about this is I'm sure there's some good ones on there. But many of them will be thrown out with throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? It's kind of the way it works.
I mean, you have to imagine they wouldn't just stick with anybody from this right now.
Anyway, so there's your deal. Good for Tom Izzo. I do appreciate.
I think everybody has to respect it. Like, I obviously, Michigan State is a rivalry. You got to throw that out the window. This kind of stuff. He's always so honest, and every time it seems like he talks to anybody, he just gives it to you how it is, and that's something I've always liked about him.
I've always appreciated that. I wish we had more people like that, quite honestly.
Amen to that. Yeah.
I don't know if they can handle it. That's the problem. I don't know if people can handle it like he can, but the people he's talking to oftentimes probably can't.
That's
because they'll start screaming. They'll start alleging and screaming some type of defense that makes no sense whatsoever. And that's what's already happened. When people were saying certain things, I mean, no school operates this way. No board of trustees operates this way. You're supposed to do what's best for your school, not what's best for yourself. How do you identify that character flaw in somebody when you're voting for somebody? That's a hard thing to do, I think. Anyway, hoping them the best because they need it right now. So obviously people know by now, I would think you would know by now, that Jay Batt is going to Kentucky as their new athletic director. That's chasing off another one. Tigers blow out the Astros 9-3. Cole Keith had 3 home runs. Tonight it's Framber Valdez against Hunter Brown. That'll be an interesting matchup. It's the first time that Framber Valdez goes back to the place that brought him in as an international free agent in 2015 against a Detroit native, Hunter Brown, who wanted to be Justin Verlander. And now he's got a chance to throw against the Tigers again. He's already 3-0 against them in 5 career starts with a really good ERA. He's got great stuff. This should be a much different situation for Tigers hitters compared to last night. Let's see how Framber Valdez does against his old team, because he sure has not been what you and I expected so far. Troy Melton scratched from the start last night because of back tightness. Gleyber Torres also injured in the second inning, so the injuries continue to pile up. The Mitch Lions Wealth poll question of the day: which championship was most unexpected? Indiana college football, Knicks NBA title, Carolina Stanley Cup, Seattle Super Bowl. Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. I've retweeted it out, and we welcome that type of feedback. Speaking of Mitch Lions, wish he was back on the board of trustees. Maybe I should have asked him that on Monday. Why don't you get back in that saddle? Leadership is it's a word tossed around on a regular. There's a couple of words that I think are tossed around constantly that we don't always truly appreciate what they are. Like disrespect is such a joke of a word. Oh, they disrespected us. Why? Because they picked against somebody else or they picked against you? That's disrespect. Give me a break, man. But leadership is something that I think it's thrown around a lot, and we don't necessarily always identify it. And it's frustrating for me, okay? Because you think certain people are good leaders and they're not. You think other people may not be good leaders because they're not vocal enough, and they're really good leaders deep down inside. I think Jordan Stahl was a pretty good leader for Carolina this year. He's not the most vocal guy out there. Nick Lidstrom's one of the best captains you've ever seen. Not the most vocal guy out there. Steve Yzerman was a great captain for the Red Wings. Not the most vocal guy out there. Anyway, they need new leadership. That's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. We know that the New York Knicks leadership was rock solid, don't we? I mean, outside an interview with OG Anunoby, who looked like he was a deer in headlights yesterday, I think it's fair to say the Knicks were the best team in the NBA. They proved that without a shadow of a doubt. And next year will go in as a top contender for the championship again. Last year they were ranked 6th, I think, or at the end of the regular season this year, I think they were ranked 6th. The Athletic came out with what they expect will be next for all 30 teams, the rankings and what's next for all 30 teams. Where do you think they have the Pistons? If they have the Knicks at number 1, they have the Spurs at number 2. That makes sense, right? I mean, those are the 2 teams that played for a championship. Detroit wasn't in the Eastern Conference Finals. Where do you think they ranked the Pistons for this whole preview of next year, even though we don't know exactly what's going to happen next year because we don't know what the team looks like next year. But every publication comes out with this. And then,
but like number 1 is like the champ, like they'd be the champion if they were ranked 1.
Yeah.
I bet the Pistons are 9th.
Okay. They have the Pistons at 5.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I thought that'd be a little lower just because, but yeah.
So they talk about what they did in the playoffs, but really, and who cares by now? What you really care about is what happens next. Here's what they write. This is The Athletic. Basketball fans love identifying perceived frauds among good teams. And if not being a 60-win team is a badge of honor. So the pre-slander for the Pistons was just below a rolling boil as soon as they dropped game 1 to the Magic at home. They overcame a 3-1 deficit to the Magic. Extended head coach JB Bickerstaff took a 2-0 lead against the Cavs, but the Pistons regrettably lost game 5 at home after squandering a double-digit lead in the second half and then went out sad in game 7. It's a really good point. Why didn't we learn? Detroit was down 3-1 to Orlando, came back and won that series in 7 games, took a 2-0 lead on Cleveland. We thought that series was over. I say we collectively. And obviously it wasn't. We should have known better. It wasn't over at 3-1. Why would we think it was over at 2-0? Anyway, they continue. Complicating matters are several contract decisions with all NBA center Jalen Duren struggling mightily in the playoffs ahead of restricted free agency and starting power forward Tobias Harris, also reaching free agency after his latest uneven postseason. Did you think Tobias Harris was uneven in the postseason? Did you think he was uneven?
I wouldn't say uneven. Yeah, I mean, towards the end, he definitely looked tired the last couple of games there, but I would say overall he had a great postseason. And I think if you put him in the correct role next season, you know what you're going to get out of him. That's for sure.
Agreed. You and I would have to define what the correct role is. Maybe we don't necessarily know that just yet.
Yeah, it depends on who they get. I mean, that's all a part of it. Probably that's also probably a part of in his mind if he's going to re-sign with Detroit or not, where he would be playing, how much he'd be playing, all that stuff.
Right on. I guess the uneven part of it is the confusing thing to me. I thought he was pretty damn.
He was really good in the postseason. It's just I think they're alluding more towards the end. The last couple of games, if I remember right, he didn't have like the same numbers he had the rest of the postseason. So maybe that's
he gave you 16 and 8. I think that's a pretty good expectation.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's so they bring up those two. They bring up obviously Cade Cunningham and so on and so forth. And as far as Jalen Duren is concerned, most people speculate he'll be somewhere above $30 million a year, which unfortunately for a lot of Jalen Duren dislikers, that's the going rate. Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Text to Sports Radio 21,000. We'll dive deeper into this and talk a little Red Wings as well when we come back. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the Den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. Game 2 of the Tigers-Astros series is tonight. The story going into first pitch is now which team gets closer to respectability, but the return of Framber Valdez to the place that signed him as an international free agent in 2015. Valdez spent his first 8 years of his big league career in Houston, winning close to 60% of the starts and helping them win a World Series in 2022. He has not been that type of pitcher for Detroit in his first 14 starts. Valdez goes up against former teammate and Detroit native Hunter Brown, who makes his first start since early April after a grade 2 shoulder strain. While Valdez makes his first ever start against his old team, the Wayne State grad Hunter Brown makes his 6th career start against his hometown team. He's 3-0 with a 2.41 ERA and 42 strikeouts against the Tigers.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Do you know what the Tigers pinch hitters are hitting? Just look this up on Baseball Reference. You know what the pinch hitting batting average is for Tigers pinch hitters this year?
I don't know what the average is, but I think they're like bottom 3, aren't they?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the ranking. I've just looked at the number. They're batting $130.
Yeah. I did see that they were ranked pretty low. I'm pretty sure it was bottom 3. I'll check it really quick.
Well, with that number, of course,
right? Yeah.
Right? OPS is like 450. That's on base plus slugging. That's horrendous, man. You noticed, I mean, we talked about Cole Key 3 homers last night. Spencer Torkelson hit a home run. Kevin McGonigal hit a home run. So did former Tiger Isaac Paredes. Isaac Paredes has 102 career home runs. Okay? I know how people felt when he left and he became an all-star with Tampa. I thought it was a good trade when they got Austin Meadows. Because Austin Meadows could drive in runs, and because he was a former all-star, you got rid of Isaac Paredes, who I thought was weak defensively. Still don't think he's really good. But in his career, okay, he has 102 home runs. You got that, Andy? 102 homers for Isaac Paredes. Guess how many he has hit the opposite way?
That's a tough question. I would say 40, around 40.
None.
Okay.
All 102 home runs. Yeah.
Everything's a bullhead. All right.
Of his is to the pull side.
That's wild.
Yeah. ESPN came out with their post-finals NBA rankings. They stacked 30 teams for next year. I just gave you the Athletic. ESPN is probably not too surprising. Who do you think they have as the favorite next year? And where do you think they have the Pistons?
I mean, the favorite next year is probably the Thunder.
Correct.
Yep.
That's what they have. They have the Thunder as the favorite, then the Spurs, then the Knicks, then the Celtics, then the Pistons. Of the 4 teams ahead of Detroit, who is the one that surprises you most, where Detroit should be ahead of?
I mean, it would be the Celtics, I guess. I'd probably argue back and forth on those two being there. I think the Spurs and Thunder both are to be in the top 5 still too. But
yeah, I would say the same thing. And it's hard to pick the Knicks when they just won the World Championship, even though you beat them, by 30 points each of the 3.
Yeah.
So what difference does that?
You in the playoffs, it's a different animal always in every sport.
Completely.
Yeah.
So I don't think 5 is that bad, quite honestly.
No, I think it's pretty fair. Yeah.
5. Yeah. I think it's borderline complimentary. Here's what they write. It's hard to expect another 60-win campaign from the Pistons next season unless they make a huge splash this summer in the trade market, which I think they're going to. The East is getting better, which means feasting off the bottom of the conference won't be so easy, and getting Cade Cunningham a shot-creating running mate is their number one priority. So with that sentence, can I ask this question? Do you think, based on that statement or based on that sentence, that they assume Detroit fed off the bottom of the league? It's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I guess I could see.
Is that wrong?
No, I don't think so. That does seem like kind of how they wrote it. Yeah, and I do think a lot of people feel like, I think with the Pistons, they do have to make that move to be near where they were at this year again. I think that's how everybody feels.
Fair enough. If I asked you which team led the NBA in wins over teams who had a 500 record or better, who would you say?
I wouldn't be shocked if it was the Pistons, because they did beat a lot of good teams in the regular season.
Right. So it's actually not, but it's OKC, then it's San Antonio, and then it's Detroit.
Yep. Okay.
Detroit had the 3rd most wins, 34, over teams that were 500 or better. Again, I'm not trying to be too sensitive here.
No, but they played good in a lot of the big, like in the regular season. I remember that was kind of the thing. They were beating a lot of teams with good records.
Yeah,
and that
I don't know why you would write that sentence. Feasting off the bottom of the conference won't be so easy. Well, but the Pistons didn't feed off the bottom of the conference. That's not what gave them 60 wins. They had 35 wins over teams that were 34, over teams that were 500 or better. They continue. But it's likely that next year's focus will be more about preparing themselves for the playoffs after the struggle of 2 7-game series. Locking up restricted free agent center Jalen Duren and extending Defensive Player of the Year candidate Ausar Thompson will take up most of their activity, but there are already whispers that the Pistons are looking at proven veterans who could take them to the next level. They have Denver at 6. They have Cleveland at 7, Minnesota at 8, the Lakers at 9, and the Rockets at 10. The hard part about this whole thing is what? You don't that number could shoot up if you're the Pistons if they trade for Trey Murphy III, for example. Hell, it'll shoot up if they trade for Kyrie Irving or Kawhi Leonard, or Max Strus. All those guys would be part of what this team needs, depending on what they give up. And you've seen the rumors, I'm sure. Isaiah Stewart, a lot of teams like him. Okay. Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert, and a draft pick.
I've seen Ron Holland's name floated around a bit.
I have seen Ron Holland's name floated around a little bit. Here's what I think here's how I think they view Ron Holland. That he's a poor man's Ausar Thompson. He's primarily defensively gifted, but not as offensively, but not as good defensively as Ausar Thompson, so he would be the guy to go. If you had to trade any of their minutes guys, right, the guys who garner a lot of minutes in that rotation, and you are going to definitely improve with some of the names that I just mentioned, who would it be?
I mean, Isaiah Stewart would be there for me. I think Karis LeVert would be there for me.
For sure. And Karis LeVert's got 1 year left on the deal. A sporadic player. Okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Stewart, more specifically, defensive oriented, and that's fine. He's not real gifted offensively, or at least the Pistons don't need him to be. But you also feel like you have Paul Reed, although I think he's going to be a free agent. So you may have to re-up with him.
Yeah, probably that would probably weigh into the decision if they thought they were going to be able to re-sign him or not. But
absolutely, and I would think they would. I would tread lightly there. I still don't know exactly what he is. I think it might be a little dangerous to think that he's going to be, a 20-minute a game player. But yeah, I think that's kind of how the way I would look at it from this standpoint. But I do believe that our belief in the Pistons is not solely because they're our favorite team. It's because even national pundits truly believe in where they're going and what they're doing. From an NHL standpoint, they have done the same thing. Carolina just won the Stanley Cup in 6 games. They sealed it on Las Vegas ice. They are favored to repeat. Second would be the Colorado Avalanche. Okay. Where do they have the Red Wings when it comes to the quote unquote power rankings for next year, which again is interesting considering this is a team that is, we don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to look drastically different because there will be no Dylan Larkin. And when you lose the face of your franchise, and he's been the face of the franchise, of course, things are going to take a turn, right? They have them ranked 18th.
I was going to say, I was going to put them even lower than that, probably 21st, 22nd. But.
Yeah. It could go higher, right? If all they get is prospects, it could go a lot lower. I don't think that's going to happen either. We'll get to some of your texts. We got the final results of the poll question and the daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort on the other side of this Tullymore Tuesday on the Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick 6 meal for 2. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
You have old retirement accounts still at former employers that could use some attention. You have accounts that the only time you hear from the advisor is when you call them. It might be time to take stock of your retirement and stop settling for less than you deserve. Having retirement accounts doesn't equal having a retirement plan. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Stop procrastinating and let's coordinate your retirement accounts and make sure you have a plan for success in retirement. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we help people make sense of all the moving parts of retirement: taxes, income, risk, Social Security, healthcare, and legacy. It all works together, so let's make sure all parts of your plan are working together and not fighting themselves. Let's create a retirement of steel. Contact us today to schedule a brief chat to talk about your situation. If it makes sense, we can talk further. If you're good as is, we'll let you know that too. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com or text PLAN to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. Investment advisory services are offered by MLW Advisory Services, a state registered investment advisor.
We had said earlier, Texas Tech transfer quarterback Brendan Sorsby planning to enter the NFL supplemental draft. This all because of what's going on with the NCAA eligibility. After he admitted he bet on sports, he says he's going to head to the NFL. Andy, if you were a general manager, knowing that he's got decent speed, he's got a really good arm, he has, by all accounts, the makings of a starting NFL quarterback. Would you draft him?
That's a really hard question. And that's what they get asked, right? I wouldn't want that person on my team just because I wouldn't want to deal with it, to be honest. But
I think it's a constant distraction.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like the talent's there, but do you really want to deal with that on your team? Like, do you want your team to have to deal with that in the locker room on a daily basis? Probably not.
How quickly can that be forgotten once you start winning, though?
It's true. Yeah. And if he comes out and plays good, but then, everybody knows he's going to make the job. I mean, I guess you don't care if you're actually winning, but it's just constantly going to be a thing where people are just on social media and whatever else are just saying, oh, it's probably fixed. Yeah. It's probably fixed. Yep. I mean, would you really want to deal with that? I don't know. Not me, but.
Yep. I'm with you. I wouldn't want it either.
I understand winning makes you.
There's got to be other quarterbacks out there who can help my team before him. So
right.
That's just me. This morning, I just saw something from 1 hour ago. The press conference from Jay Batt, his introductory press conference at the University of Kentucky. One of the quotes, and this is from Seth Wells, who covers Kentucky sports. One of the things that sets us up for success in the long run here at UK is the alignment we have top to bottom. And so that's from our president to our board of trustees. We are so well situated to do that. He was wearing a Kentucky blue tie and the whole ball of wax. All right. So the report is that he's going to make he signed a $6 million deal. I don't know the man. I know his reputation. A big reason that he is being brought in is because of his fundraising ability. People can dispute that all they want. They can argue about it all they want. That is the athletic director's number one job, especially in today's day and age in sports. His number one priority, how am I going to raise money for my athletic program? Because that's what it takes to compete. Yes, hiring coaches is vital. I don't know if he's going to keep Mark Pope. Okay, their basketball coach. I don't know. Who cares? But what he's going to do is he's going to have some type of Kentucky blue or whatever they want to call it down there, similar to what they've done with Spartan Ventures in East Lansing. He rallies guys and gals. He rallies people who can who have the money, the donations. I'm going to tell you something right now. This is challenging because I saw it at an event 2 years ago. I was at an event. It was basically an NIL event for a mid-major coach. That coach had a highly decorated and well-known head coach from a different team, a different school, a different conference attend. And people could ask questions. Afterwards, I didn't ask questions to either one of the coaches. I know them both, so I've talked to them plenty. But I did ask questions of those who were there to give money. How are you feeling? What's the mood with you and the people who have been donating? And to a man, they were all like, I'm tired of this stuff. It's a constant asking for money. At some point, I'm going to say no. I can't keep giving every single year the same amount of money, $1 million, $800,000, whatever it may be. You may love your school all you want, but at some point that well's going to run dry. That's why Jay Batt had to put together something for Michigan State where you could have a pool of money from the big donors and then make it work for the school. He's going to do the same thing at UK. It's the primary reason he was brought on board. His decision-making on coaches, sure. I'm sure there's a pretty solid track record. He's done it at Georgia Tech. He did it in Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State, and I'm sure he'll do it at Kentucky when there is something that is needed. But the primary reason he's there is because he can raise money, period. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from yesterday. We have one for you every single day. It's brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com. We asked you if there's a player the Pistons trade for, who should it be? Trey Murphy, Kyrie Irving, Max Strus, or Kawhi Leonard? What did the masses have to say?
Trey Murphy won the vote at 75%, which they must be listening to the show. I guess they did that, right? Kyrie Irving was 13% of the vote. Max Strus was 13%, and Kawhi Leonard got none of the vote.
Surprising to you at all, or no?
I would think some people might think Kawhi Leonard still, just because of the name. But no, I think Trey Murphy's been the name that most Pistons fans are hearing at this point. I think a lot of people want to see happen.
Yeah, agreed. How was the daily wager last night?
The other wager was good. I took the Tigers on the money line. I was nervous about that because they let me down before, but they didn't last night. When they switched pitchers, I got a little nervous there for a second. But they got the job done. Tonight, I am going to go with the White Sox. They're plus money against the Yankees. Garrett Cole is starting for the Yankees. His last two starts hasn't went more than 5 innings, and his ERA has been bad in both. He's allowed 3 runs and 4 runs in both games. White Sox been playing good baseball. Their starting pitcher tonight, Davis Martin. He's been overall pretty good this year. He's got a 2.41 ERA. I just like the matchup coming in, so I'm going to take the White Sox at plus 123.
The White Sox, yeah, I mean, they're the only team in the division who are a plus in run differential. They're a plus 12. Nobody in the American League has a higher run differential than the New York Yankees, though. And no one has scored more runs in the American League than the New York Yankees. Only the Braves, the Brewers, and the Dodgers have scored more runs than the Yankees overall. They are playing decent baseball. The Yankees are winning 7-10. They've opened up a 1.5 game lead in the AL East. Their 43 wins are the most in the American League and tied for third most in all of baseball. Only the Braves and Dodgers have more.
It's battle of two powers here, White Sox and Yankees.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a risky business there for you.
Yeah, I try to give people the value. I just see it tonight with the pitching matchup a little bit. I think the White Sox have an advantage there. We'll see.
White Sox with 38 wins, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, we can't.
Do you remember how many they had? Do you remember how many they had a year ago?
Oh my gosh, they must have. When did they even get to 38 wins last year?
I believe it was in late August or early August. They had the same number of wins last year, the White Sox did, as the Pistons had this year.
Man.
Yeah. White Sox only had 60 wins last year. They're almost at 40 right now.
Yeah, what a turnaround.
So that is the daily wager. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend. Via text. Shep, I'd play Colt Keith at first base and trade Torque. Let's be honest, it can't be any worse. Maybe Torque goes somewhere else and figures it out, but I'd rather have that than have him staying there and never figuring it out. I understand that mindset for sure. I don't know if he'll be able to figure it out. And you're right, it can't get much worse. Here would be my question. What do you think you could get for him?
Yeah, I don't know what you could get. I think with this team, the reason he's playing first for Colt Keith is because I don't know what other right-handed bat they're going to play all the time at first base. I don't
know if you need a right-handed bat to play at first base all the time. You got to find a place for right-handed power. And he and Dingler are the only ones who provide it.
Exactly.
Right? Now, I would remind people this. And Dylan Dingler, for me, would be the number one player on this team who should be an all-star. I've already said that. Hell of a player. He's got 16 homers. A lot is made of that. For good reason. It's a career high, and he's giving you not just a really good, at bat on a regular basis. 16 homers, much needed, 50 RBIs. Okay, really, those are big numbers, especially for a catcher. Spencer Torkelson has 12 home runs. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, 5 came in a quick span. I don't care. He still has it. His issue is that he is not driving in runs. Going into the game last night, he has 28 RBIs. That's sorry for your right-handed power hitter who's coming up with oftentimes guys on base. It's got to be better than that. Shep, do we have any news on Parker Meadows and when he may come back? No, we don't, which tells you it's going to be a long time.
Yeah.
Talk about injury in the city of Detroit. That what I think is a hurt team has to rival the Laporta injury, in my opinion. Well, the Laporta injury, but at least it wasn't consistent. It was once, right? For the most part, Sam Laporta has been a healthy player. Shep, whose legacy is at stake more with their next move? Is it Harris with Tarek Skubal, Steve Yzerman with Dylan Larkin, or Trajan Langdon trying to figure out a Robin? Yeah, I think a lot of this, Steve Yzerman is on the shortest leash from the fans' perspective, but Scott Harris has more to prove. That's how I look at it. Trajan Langdon can at least tell his fan base, since he's taken over, his team had made the playoffs twice, and he went from 14 to 44 to 60. They give him a lot of credit for recognizing talent that is needed. And he, for the most part, outside of the trade deadline last year, went about getting this team, making this team better. Steve Yzerman has not done that. Scott Harris, to a certain extent, has done it, but just, on the fringe. Sure, they've made the playoffs the last couple of years. How many of his guys, quote unquote, are truly contributing to that? That's the thing. You notice nobody said Brad Holmes in that. Speaking of Brad Holmes in football, I read this on CBS Sports yesterday, and it caught my eye. Players running out of time to prove themselves entering 2026. They list 8 players. You ready? C.J. Stroud, J.J. McCarthy, Brian Thomas Jr., Miles Murphy, he's the defensive end for Cincinnati, Malik Willis, wow, and Keon Coleman. Oh, and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Penix. I don't think Michael Penix can how can Michael Penix do that when he hasn't had a full season as a starter? Marvin Harrison Jr. has been one of the more disappointing players coming into the National Football League. He's not Charles Rogers, but he sure as hell isn't his father either. It got me thinking. Give me a player or two from the Lions in your mind going into this coming season who is running out of time to prove themselves to you.
Terrion Arnold. And then
it's the first name that comes.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think everybody's thinking that. And then maybe a Lee McNeil.
Okay. That's not where I was going to go, but that's fine because Lee McNeil was really good 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think people want to see that again. But
sure. But to me, that doesn't mean he's running out of time.
Sure, that's fair.
Terrion Arnold, absolutely.
Running out of time. There's no question about that one.
Look, if I had to pick one on defense, it would be Terrion Arnold. The other one that I might say, and this is probably unfair, but I'd probably say Christian Mahogany.
Yeah, sure.
Now, he didn't start enough last year for him to be put on the quote-unquote clock. But because it's so important and because Detroit is looking for that left guard and he's been given the opportunity and hasn't necessarily seized it. It's not like going into the season, we all said, well, we don't have to worry about the left guard position because Christian Mahogany is there, right? Is there anybody else who's running out of time to impress you? Which tells you something about the Lions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does. Exactly.
I mean, it screams about the Lions and how good this team is and can be when you can't find the guys that have to win you over. It's probably the two corners. It's probably DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold. Remember, Reed got hurt last year. but wasn't nearly as effective as you thought he was going to be for one of your marquee free agents. It's not Penei Sewell. Cade Mays you haven't even seen yet. Tate Ratledge was pretty damn good as a rookie offensive lineman. And Blake Miller you can't judge yet because he hasn't even played a snap. It's none of the skill positions. Don't give me this Jameson Williams stuff because he was really good a year ago. Isaac Tesla, come on, man. I mean, 16 rocks, 6 catches, 6 touchdowns. Give me a break. There's no way you could be thinking that. They got to throw it to him first. So it's primarily the defensive side of the ball. Arnold for sure would be the number one pick by everybody on who has to, prove something to the fan base. Outside of that, Jack Campbell doesn't. The safeties don't. Hutchinson doesn't. Maybe Tyleik Williams. It's 1 year as a starter. Is it already fair to put him on the clock? Well, if it was fair enough for me to say that about Christian Mahogany, why can't I say it about Tyleik Williams, who had higher expectations considering he was a first round pick? Those are the only names that pop into my head.
And that's why a lot of people believe they could be a lot better than they were a year ago. I think if they, have the record that they had last year again, then you have to at least try to look deeper into what's wrong with the core of this team, maybe, or something like that. But until that happens, there's no reason to believe with them being healthy again and some of the pieces they've added to this team that they couldn't be better, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And somebody just, the text is DJ Reed. Well, that's what we said. We said the two corners. I understand the DJ Reed thought.
Yeah, it makes sense too.
When a guy's making as much money as he is, came with as much hype as he has, and goes out there. But I would just remind you, he played 11 games. It's funny how a guy like that played 11 games year before 14, year before that 15. He's only played a full season as a starter once in his career. But we don't look at him as a guy who gets injured a lot. And I'm not saying we should. I'm just telling you that. But last year, how effective was he? You want interceptions from guys in the secondary. He had 2. Is that enough for you? No. So I think the corners, and I would say Christian Mahogany from an offensive standpoint, and maybe Tyleik Williams from the defensive standpoint. And he had Aleem McNeil, which I get. Want to thank Tom DeEath for coming on and joining us here on X's and Bros. Kind of a look back down memory lane to a certain extent, and a really good time in Detroit for the Gold Cup. But most of all, I want to thank you. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros. Don't forget the huge show a little bit later on, 3 o'clock on the Michigan Sports Network.
In the Den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your